What's going on, everyone? Before we get to the video, I just want to give a special thank you to all you amazing people that has subbed to our YouTube channel. We're at 46 subs and growing. My goal is to get to 50 by the end of November. With all the amazing love and support you guys give me, I know that's an easy goal for us to reach. We're continuing our Friday the 13th franchise movie reviews along with rankings. In this video, we will be ranking the Friday the 13th movie. Now, little disclaimer, I did not include any fan films. So that includes movies like Never Hike Alone in the Snow, etc. I didn't want to discredit any other movie. They're all great movies to me. So we're going with just the movies that are made by Paramount and New Line. So let's get to the video. Welcome back, everyone. I'm still Presley, and hopefully you guys are still watching. Let's go ahead and get to the ranking. But first, if you guys haven't watched my Jason ranking, it kind of gives away what our ranking on this video would be. I'm going to post a little link right up here. Go ahead and hit that video after you watch this one to know how I rank all the Jasons. Coming in dead last, the movie I hate the most, my least favorite horror movie that I've ever seen, is Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. First off, this movie. Coming in at number 11 is a movie that I think should be tied 12th because just like Jason 9, I hate this movie. And that movie is Jason X. Hate this movie. Don't think it should exist in the terms or in the realm of Friday the 13th movie. I get like sitting in space, you're trying something new, but I just don't get why in the 10th movie that we're having this. That was my same problem with Friday the 13th Part 9, and that's the problem I have with this. I don't like the Jason. One cool kill in there, the liquid nitrogen kill where Ian Hodder sticks the head in and then freezing, slams the head. Only a cool kill. I don't like any of the Jasons. I just don't plain like this movie. Coming in at number 10 was an easy one for me. It's not as bad as Jason X or Jason Goes to Hell, but it's honestly just as bad of a movie, and a movie that I just don't really like. That is Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I have the same gripes that everyone else has with this movie. One, I know budgetary restraints allowed it to not be in New York. However, change the fucking title. Change it to something else. You know what I mean? Like, Jason takes a boat. Jason takes Lazarus. Jason takes the ocean. Something along those lines, so we're not sitting here waiting for him to go to New York. And in the last 20 minutes, they go to New York. One of my big problems with this movie is, besides that it's not in New York, is the obvious. I don't like the characters. I'm not on the edge of my seat waiting for the final girl to live or waiting for the male to live. You know what I mean? I don't want everyone to die in this movie, but I'm not sitting here rooting for the survivors to win. I'm rooting for better kills. And that leads me to my only good thing I like about this movie, which is Julian's kill whenever they're boxing on the rooftop and then Jason hits him once right across the head and his head goes flying off into the trash can. One of my favorite kills in the franchise. Definitely the only thing that kept this movie from at the bottom of this list. Coming in at number 9 is probably one of the most controversial picks I will have on this ranking, mainly due to this stereotype that the original has to be the best movie out there, and quite frankly, I just don't see it. Coming in at number 9 is the original Friday the 13th Part 1. Now, there's obvious reasons why I don't. It's not that I don't like this movie, it's the fact that why it's so low. And the reason being is Jason is not the killer. I love Pamela Voorhees. I love the kills. Kind of feels like a Friday or a Halloween knockoff. But Jason's not the killer is my biggest thing on why I went so bottom on this list. There's good kills in this, all right, but they still have not established themselves in this film. They kind of just feel like a copycat. Now in Part 2, that's when they start to get Jason and they're able to roll with this franchise, right? But in Part 1, they're still trying to find themselves. They kind of took the success of other movies and made it their own, yes. However, it kind of just feels like a copycat of those. And that is why I have my number 9 as Part 1, the original Friday the 13th movie. Coming in at number 8 on the list is Part 5, A New Beginning. My only gripe with this movie is that it's not Jason. And I'm not even mad that they didn't make it Jason. I'm cool with like doing the whole Scooby-Doo type of thing. However, you gotta give me someone better as a killer, not just an ambulance dude who we see for 3 minutes in the movie. He says like 2 lines. You got to give me someone else that I can believe is the killer. That I sitting here thinking, oh, well, that doesn't look like Jason. Well, maybe it could be him. Well, maybe it could be him. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there, oh my God, the killer was someone I saw for 2 minutes an hour ago. One of the reasons why it is so high on my list at part 8 is because the kills are good. They're the same Friday the 13th kills we get from 1 through 4. Like the flare down the throat. Absolutely love that kill. And just like all of the other Friday the 13th fans, I freaking love Reggie the Reckless. Yes, Tommy Jarvis is in this movie. I don't prefer the whole like mean, tough looking Tommy Jarvis. I get what they were going for. I like it for this movie, but comparing it to all the other ones, I'm not about it. It's not my thing. So Reggie, in my opinion, kind of carries this movie. Great character, great job. And that is why I have part 5 at my number 8 spot on the list. Coming in at number 7 is Freddy versus Jason. Now, if I was doing a Freddy ranking, this would probably be a lot higher on the list. However, there are way too many good Friday the 13th movies to put under this. So this one, unfortunately, got pushed to the back. And one of the reasons why it is so high on the list is because Freddy is very good in this movie. I think he carries this movie. However, we're talking about Friday the 13th here, so we won't be talking about Freddy. I like Jason in this. He's a little iffy. I don't like the clothes. However, the action fighting sequence between Jason and Freddy is absolutely ridiculous. Anytime they go at it, it's balls to the walls. I love it. I love that Freddy put Jason in a dream. I love the scraping across his face. I love the last 20, 30 minutes where they're just going at it in the real world, like physically UFC fighting. One of my biggest things is that it just drags on. Like, there's too much on like the hypnosil stuff. There's too much on that type of stuff. And really, it does kind of feel like a Freddy movie more than a Jason movie. However, it had to go on the list because Jason is in it. And that is why I put it at number 7. Coming in at number 6. This one shocked me whenever I put it this high on my list. But there was one main reason, and I'll get to that. Coming in at part 6 is part 2, Friday the 13th. My biggest reason why I put it this high on the list was I think Jenny is the best final girl, not including Tommy Jarvis because he's a final male or whatever. Jenny is the best final girl in this franchise. I love her to death. I love what she's able to do in this movie. I love how she stands up to Jason. However, reason why it is in the middle of the list and not higher up is that we spend the first 15-ish minutes going over what happened in part 1. Normally, if I'm watching this movie, I'm watching it as a sequel to part 1, so I don't need an epilogue on what happened to part 1. If you fast forward through that, this movie would have been a lot higher on the list. However, they put that in, so unfortunately, it has to go all the way back down to number 6. I also love how they introduce Jason in this film. They make him come in. It kind of feels like the same Scooby-Doo type-ish as part 1. However, we're still finding out about Jason. We know that Jason is the killer. You can kind of guess that from the beginning, but they're still introducing Jason as this kind of scary man. He's not even close to his zombie form, which I love. I love human Jason. I love the way they portray him in this movie, and that is why I have part 2 at number 6. Coming in at number 5, ladies and gentlemen, is part 3. In my initial ranking, I did have this a lot higher on my list. However, due to some little baby flaws, I had to move it back. But there's obvious reasons why you love this movie. Jason is great in it. He gets the hockey mask. I love the character of Shelly. Probably the only character I like in this movie, which gets me to my biggest negative is, again, I don't want the characters to survive. I'm not on the edge of my seat wanting them to survive. I'm like, when are they going to die? If they had Shelly as the final male in this, I would have loved it. I would have been on the edge of my seat. This would be a lot higher on my list. However, since they didn't have that, I can't put it higher on my list, guys. It just can't. There's too much 3D in it. Now a lot of people harp too much on it. You got to put your mind back in the 80s when this film came out and 3D was starting to become big, or whenever it became big, but they put all they had into 3D effects in this movie. So that's why I'm not too hard on the 3D. That might be a reason why it's a little bit lower on this list, is because they did try too hard in that. However, my biggest thing is I don't want the characters to survive. That is why I have part 3 at my number 5 spot. Coming in at the number 4 spot is part 7, The New Blood. One of my biggest reasons why this movie is so high up on my list is because I love the Jason. The Jason in this movie is absolutely crazy. The way he looks, the way he feels, he is able to dominate the characters. I love the way they did that storyline. I also thought it was a great job to continue without Tommy Jarvis. You know, they used him in the past 3 movies, part 4 and part 5 and part 6. We got to watch him grow up, go against Jason several times, even a fake Jason. So the fact that they were able to introduce a new final girl and a new cast of characters is one of the reasons why this movie is so high up on my list. However, moving on with the characters, as you guys know, I don't want any of the characters to survive. I hate the storyline. I don't like the fact that she can use telekinesis. I get that Jason is a zombie, so we're going more towards the supernatural. However, I'm a big fan of the characters being real characters, right? Like them winning with their smarts, strength. This girl can just use her brain. I don't like that. Also, I hate the ending to this movie. One of my least favorite endings is when the dad comes out, grabs her. Definitely ruins this movie for me. However, you could probably watch this without the ending and still be okay and act like Jason lives. And that is why I have part 7, The New Blood, at my number 4 spot. Coming in at my number 3 spot is one of probably the second most controversial pick on this list. A lot of people don't like this movie. I don't see why. I think this movie is absolutely amazing. Coming in at number 3, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2009 remake movie. I think that this could have been a great continuation of the franchise. They could have expanded on it. I know lawsuits happen, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. However, this is a great installment into the movie. Yes, it doesn't really add anything to the series as a whole. My biggest things is I love the actors. Jared Padalecki, I'm a big Supernatural fan, as you guys probably already know. So the fact that he was cast for this role was absolutely crazy with me. I love that he survives. I love Trey. He's played by Travis Van Winkle. I'm pretty sure he's also in You. Great actor. Played that role astonishingly. Everyone's just so good in this movie. There's not one complaint that I have about the characters, and that is why it is so high up on this list. I love the way that Jason looks. I love that they kind of dove into his side of things as well, like his little tunnels, his little cave, his little house. I love that because I've always wondered, what does Jason do whenever he's not stalking people? Does he just chill? Where does he sleep at? All that type of stuff. This movie they didn't dive into it as much as Rob Zombie did on Michael Myers, but they kind of dipped their toe in the water just a little bit. However, the reason why it is number 3 and not number 2 or number 1 is because I don't like the fact that he kept Whitney prisoner. I know what they were going for. They're going for the same thing they did in part 2, where Jason gets confused and he thinks it's his mom or whatever, but she has a locket on, doesn't even look like Pamela Voorhees, so I hate that. That is the only reason why it is not higher on this list, and that is why the 2009 remake is standing at number 3. Coming in at number 2, this was an easy number 2 for me because this is one of the best Friday the 13th films out there, one of the best Jasons, some of the best characters in this movie, my favorite final male in this movie, my final character in this movie, and that is part 6, Jason Lives. First off, Tommy fucking Jarvis is in this movie. Honestly, 4, 5, and 6 are probably the best trio of movies that we get with the same character in any horror franchise, Halloween, Freddy, anything like that. He stands up there with the greats in terms of survivors, and I absolutely love what they did with him in this movie. They made him more vocal. Yes, I know it's a different actor. However, it still feels like it's a continuation on the Tommy Jarvis saga. There's great kills in this movie. I love whenever the girl is laying in the mud and she's fumbling for her stuff. She can't find her wallet or whatever. Finally pulls it out. Jason is nowhere to be found. And then she looks up. Boom, he's right there. Stabs her. I love what they did with Jason in this movie. This is also the first movie where we see Jason go all the way to zombie. I love that. I love the storyline. I love that Tommy Jarvis finally gets the kill on Jason. I love everything about this movie. I love how they included the kids. I love how they included the sheriff. I love how they showed another crazy side to Tommy Jarvis, a third side, if you will, to him, far from the boy that he was in part 4. But that is one of the things that makes this movie. The only reason I did not put this at number 1 is not because of reason of what this movie did wrong. It's more of what my number 1 choice did right. And if you guys have been following along, you've been marking along as you go on all the titles, you guys obviously know what my number 1 is. This was my number 1 Jason in my ranking videos. My number 1 movie in the Friday the 13th franchise is Friday the 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter. We get the best Jason. We get the best storylines in this movie, the best characters. I love the entry of Tommy Jarvis. I love that he's a kid who's not afraid to take on Jason. I love everything about this movie. I cannot name you one bad thing about this movie. We get great kills, especially the cleaver or whatever it is to the head after he gets a corkscrew in the hand. We get another great kill in whenever they're in the lake and he comes up and stabs him through the raft. I love this movie. I love the way that they portray the characters. I love that they give the characters conflict. But one of my biggest things that I love about this movie is that we're not wanting the camp counselors or the teenagers to win. Yes, I know they weren't camp counselors. That's why I put in, because that's the stereotype for all the Jason movies. We're not wanting the teenagers to win. We're wanting the family to win. We're wanting the family to survive. Yes, the mother dies, but you feel sad when the mother dies. That is one of the biggest things. Whenever I see them, it puts it in two great perspectives. We get great kills, but we also get characters that we want to live in Tommy Jarvis and in Trish. I love this movie. This movie does nothing wrong. They could have ended the franchise with this movie. Yes, we wouldn't have all the other great ones, but they could have ended it with this movie, and I would have been happy. That is why I have Part 4, The Final Chapter, as my favorite Friday the 13th movie of all time. I don't see any movie ever coming close to this. I don't see another movie that's able to beat this, regardless of fan film or a company film. This movie will forever, ever stand as the best Friday the 13th movie of all time. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of my ranking. I know my ranking was very controversial. Some picks were a little like, how could you do that? I did this ranking multiple times. Even with myself, I was like, how am I putting this movie this low? And one of the biggest things you guys got to think about is just because there's a movie in front of it doesn't mean that that movie's worse. It just means this movie did some things better. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't hit that sub button, help us on the road to 50 subs. Hit that sub button. Hit that like button. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the love and support. I will see you guys on the next one.